escaping the White Death. 80-year-olds. Fight against Yakutia'S winter. The thermometer outside reads -54 degrees Celsius. Nikolai Stepanovich Bernov taps the glass with one gloved finger, the way a man taps a wall to check if it's hollow. He already knows the number. He tapped it out of habit, the same habit that has kept him alive for 8 decades in the Republic of Sakha, one of the coldest inhabited places on the surface of the earth. He pulls his reindeer hide coat tighter across his chest. Not from fear, but from discipline, and steps outside into the blue-black morning of the Yakutian January. He is 80 years old. His beard is white and already frosting at the tips. His eyes are the color of birch bark in winter, pale gray, calm, observant. He moves without rushing, because in this cold, rushing kills you. Sweat kills you. Panic kills you. He has watched it happen to younger, stronger men who didn't understand that survival here is not a physical contest. It is a philosophical one. The tiger does not negotiate. It simply presents conditions, and you either understand those conditions or you don't come home. The cabin behind him is 80 years old, the same age as he is. His father built it the year Nikolai was born, driving larch posts into the permafrost with a sledgehammer before the ground froze completely in September. Every plank, every nail, every repaired section of roof, Nikolai knows by touch. He has replaced the floor twice, the chimney once, the door frame 3 times. The cabin is not a structure he lives inside. It is something closer to a body he inhabits, a second skin against the cold. His wife Ludmila lived here with him for 47 years before she died. Her photograph hangs on the wall beside a Soviet-era map of the region, annotated in pencil across decades, trails, water sources, places where the ice is thin, places where the larch grows straight and burns long. He lives alone now, has for 11 years. His nearest neighbor is 19 kilometers away. The nearest town, Yakutia'S, is 43 kilometers by forest trail. In summer the track becomes passable by truck. In January there is no road. There is the forest, the cold, and what you carry inside yourself. He eats breakfast the way he does everything, methodically, without decoration. Stroganina, raw frozen fish shaved into thin curls with a short knife. The traditional food of the Yakut people. Eaten this way for centuries because cooking costs fuel and fuel is not wasted on comfort when survival is the calculation. He drinks chaga mushroom tea with reindeer fat melted into it, dense and dark and tasting of earth and smoke. He does not eat because he is hungry. He eats because the body is a machine that requires fuel at low temperatures, and he is a man who services his machines. By mid-morning the wind begins. It's not a howl at first, something lower, a vibration in the walls. A pressure change that a person who has lived here long enough can feel in the back of the skull. Nikolai says one word, quietly, to no one in particular. Purga, a Yakut blizzard. Not merely a snowstorm, but a complete erasure of the world, winds exceeding 80 kilometers per hour. Visibility collapsing to zero, the kind of event that has killed men who were 200 meters from shelter they simply could not find. He says the word the way a doctor names a diagnosis, without drama, with precision. He immediately puts down what he is doing and goes to the woodshed, 20 meters from the cabin door. He has a rope already tied from the door handle, strung along a guide wire to the shed, the same system his father taught him, the same his grandfather had before that. You do not cross open ground in a purga without a rope. Not 20 meters, not 5. He loads his arms with larch, hand over hand back along the guide wire. The storm already building around him, the snow moving horizontally, the temperature dropping further as the wind strips away the thin margin of warmth that a still -54 degrees Celsius at least allows. He makes it back. The door closes. He stacks the wood beside the stove and begins the work of settling in. The generator fails that evening, exactly as he predicted. The diesel fuel gels in extreme cold, a fact he has accounted for as naturally as accounting for sunset. He lights 2 candles. The stove burns orange. Outside, the perga reaches its full strength, and the walls of the cabin contract and expand as if the structure itself is breathing in the cold. He sets up a hand-carved chess set on the table, pieces worn smooth by decades of handling, and sits with the particular stillness of a man who has made his peace with waiting. When he talks the way he moves, without wasted energy. He speaks about his daughter Tanya, who lives in Yakutsk and calls every Sunday and wants him to come south to her apartment, with its central heating and its elevators and its air that never moves. He visited her once, 3 days, and could not sleep. The warmth was wrong. The stillness was wrong. He kept waking in the night, convinced he had forgotten to check the stove. He came back after 3 days and slept 12 hours straight the first night home, the way a person sleeps when they are finally in the right place. He speaks about Ludmila sometimes, not with grief exactly, but with the matter-of-fact weight of someone carrying something heavy for so long that it has become simply part of how they stand. She liked the cabin best after a storm, he says. She said the whole world looked repainted. He says this, looking at the frosted window, not at the camera, and then he moves a chess piece and says nothing more about it. The night is long. The temperature outside reaches minus 61 degrees Celsius by the early hours. He sleeps in his clothes, on a narrow wooden bunk, under 3 wool blankets and a reindeer hide. He sleeps well. He always sleeps well here. In the morning he finds the problem. His right foot, the small toe, a color it should not be. He removes the boot and examines it with the detached professionalism of a man diagnosing a machine. The inner felt has worn thin at the toe. He knew this before winter. He should have replaced it. He didn't, and now the cold got through, and now he has frostbite. He does not curse himself beyond one quiet word. He goes to the shelf, retrieves a tin he has kept there for years, and applies a paste of rendered bear fat and dried willow herb, a recipe older than the Soviet Union, older than the Russian Empire, carried down through generations of people who understood that this landscape requires its own medicine. He wraps the foot carefully and elevates it, and returns to the stove. He says, "People think survival is about strength. It is not. It is about honesty. Honest about what you have, honest about what you need, honest about your mistakes." He made a mistake with the boot. Now he fixes the consequence. That is all. There is no self-pity in his voice. There is no performance of stoicism either. He simply states the terms. He cranks the shortwave radio and contacts Verkhoyansk. Reports his condition in the clipped, factual tone of someone who has made such calls before. On the other end, by a coincidence of a mother's instinct, is Tanya, who drove up from Yakutsk when she heard the perga was hitting. She wants to come by snowmobile. He tells her the foot is fine. She tells him she is coming anyway. He tells her, after a pause long enough to mean something, to come see how the cabin looks after the storm. He says his wife always liked it after a storm. Tanya says nothing for a moment. Then she says she will be there in 2 hours. Before she arrives, sitting alone with the stove and the candle and the silence of the post-storm taiga, he says something he has not said to his daughter. Last March, not this past year but the year before, he fell on the ice behind the shed. His hip went out from under him on a patch he hadn't sanded. He lay there for 3 hours, unable to get up, the cold working at him from the ground up, before he managed to crawl to the shed wall and pull himself upright. He was afraid that time. Not of dying. He has no fear of dying. He says this plainly, without bravado, as simple fact. He was afraid of being a problem, of being an old man someone has to come and rescue. He got up, he made tea, he put sand on the path. He told no one. That, he says, is the arrangement you make with this place. It tests you without apology. You don't complain about the test, so you improve the path. When Tanya arrives, orange snowmobile emerging from the white birch forest like a small flame. She examines his foot with the hands of the retired nurse she is and confirms it is superficial, that he treated it correctly. She tells him he needs new inner felt for the boot. He says he knows. She sits across from him and asks him to come back to Yakutsk for the rest of January. Just January. She will drive him back herself in February. He is quiet for a long time. The stove ticks. Outside, the tiger stands in its enormous silence. He says, if he leaves during the hardest part, next year it will be easier to leave during the hard part. And then the year after that. She doesn't answer. She has heard this argument before, and she knows there is no counter to it that he will accept. Because it is not really an argument about cold or safety or a frostbitten toe. It is an argument about what a person is and what a person becomes when they remove themselves from the conditions that made them. She stays the night. In the morning, they work the woodpile together. She splits. He stacks. A rhythm that has the ease of something practiced long ago, when she was young, and the winters were just winters and her mother was still alive. He picks up a log and holds it to the grey morning light, reading the grain the way another man might read a page. Luch, he says, burns long. The forest stands around them, white and enormous and utterly indifferent, and the cold presses in from all directions. And he stacks the wood with the patient, unhurried precision of a man who has nowhere else to be, and nothing left to prove, and every intention of being here when the spring comes.